Hello friends. I look like a disaster. I've also been painting all day, so if you see a lot of white on my hands, disregard. I had a request to show how I wash my makeup brushes. So I'm doing a trial wedding makeup tomorrow, and so I need to make sure they're all clean before I can do that on a client for sanitary reasons. So I'm gonna wash them right now, and I just wanna show you kind of the process and how I personally wash my brushes. So to start, I wash all of my brushes with Johnson's & Johnson's baby soap. Super gentle, super easy. I know some people use Dawn dish soap as well. I have just always used Johnson's. And then when it comes to how to lay them out once they're washed, so this is like a large hand towel, face towel, I'm not sure if we're being honest. So I take it lengthwise and I fold it in half. And then you have to roll it. So after your brush is wet, I'm just going to use this as an example. Water, if it goes down into, I think this is called the filament, if I remember this properly. It's also the same terminology in like art brushes as well. So the water can go down the hairs into what I believe this is the filament. If I'm wrong, I'll put it up on the screen with the proper terminology. So if the water goes down into here, it can ruin the brush, especially the glue that holds all these in there. So if you're like breaking down the glue in there with water, then you're gonna have a problem. So when you're done washing them, you wanna tilt them down so the water drains out of the brush. So in order to do that, I fold it in half like this. Keep it closer here so you can see. Let me do it over here. And then I roll the front section like so, to create an angled little setup. Flatten it out, and now when the brushes lay down on it, they can lay down at an angle so the water can drain out. Can you even see that? Let's move it this way. Lay down at an angle so the water can drain out. So that is what I'm going to do here. So I'm gonna explain the first one, and then I'll probably speed through the rest just because it can be a little difficult. And then I'll also explain, I have my sponges here, how I go through those as well. So just for a quick one, I should probably take my watch off before I drown it in water. Okay, so water on. So what I do first, let me explain this while the water's off. So as the water's pouring out, I'll wet this in the water. I do a pump of the soap onto my hand. I work the brush into the soap until it gets like sudsy. So if the soap comes out like super brown or tan based off of how much product is on the tip of the brush, I'll rinse it in the water doing the same motion, and then I'll squeeze it out and then even do a second go once in a while if I need to. So we'll show this one real quick. So I'm wetting the brush in the water, take a pump of the soap, take my brush, and now I'm working it into my hand. Do a little more up close. So see how it's a little brown, not quite like a white sud. So we're just gonna work the soap into all the areas. Then I'm gonna rinse it out. You can see the color of the water as it's rinsing out is like a tan. It's from the bronzer that I use with it. So then I squeeze her. And since that wasn't like 100% clean, I will do a second go. So I do a second pump. And now I keep going. And see how now it's much cleaner? That's just to ensure that it is extra, extra clean. The brush is also very sudsy, but it just really reassures how clean the brush is. So rinse all that off, work it out. That's probably good. So then I squeeze the excess water. Of the brush hairs. Sometimes to make sure I maintain shape, because some brushes have alternative shapes, or if they have like a, more of a fluffy blender, I will give it a few of these just to kind of get it back into a general position that it should be in. And then I'll put it up. I know that's out of frame, but I'll line them up as I go down this way. So they're tilted down to make sure that all the water can drain out, and we move on to the next one. So once again, I don't even know what is on this brush. Some like pink something on here. So we will wet it. A little bit of that. This one's not too dirty. So see how the first go, it's going to give me a nice sudsy look. I'm going to just do one clean on this one just because of that. The bronzer brush I had used a lot more, so that was definitely why that one was a lot dirtier. This one I think I've only used for powder a couple times, but make sure it's clean. For some reason, that is still a problem. Oops, got shedding. Alright, so that's kind of how I go through all the brushes. I'm going to go through all of these. I'll probably, if I can figure out how to edit it, speed up the footage for you, and then I will do the sponges when I am done with all these. So. So first I'll always start by wetting it, and then I'll put a pump of the soap on the top, rub it in, rinse it out, pump of the soap on the bottom, rub it in, rinse it out, and then if I have to, I'll go through a second time. So we'll show you the first one and then we'll speed through the next two. Then we'll be done. Finally, it's only been about maybe 50 minutes. So that's not that bad for this many brushes. All right, so we're gonna start off by wetting it. That way it's ready to be cleaned. Okay. Squeeze out all the excess water. Put a pump on top. Really work it in. Gotta work it in really aggressively. See all the foundation coming off onto my hands? So we really gotta get in there. Okay. Now, gonna let it absorb, squeeze it out. And again on the bottom. So, start working it in. Make sure it's all soaked up. And squeeze it all out. So here's my sponge, and so there will be some spots that just stay stained, which you can't really do much about that. You do your best to get it out. I will not be using a used sponge on a client tomorrow, though. I will be using a brand new one, so that way there's no concern about cross-contamination or any of that. So we're gonna continue with the next two, and then we'll be finished. So let's go. So after a long 55-ish minutes, all of the brushes and all the sponges are done. The ones that I did pull out in the middle of it, which I'm trying to pull back out without destroying my little concoction here, are brushes that I know that I have not used. This is a brand new brush that's never been used. These other brushes I know I'm not going to use on the client, so I'm not worried about washing them right now, and I've personally not used them since I washed them last. So all of these brushes, by the time I wake up tomorrow, besides maybe just the really thick powder brushes, should be 100% dry. Like eyeshadow brushes, no problem, will be dry. And then the actual trial is tomorrow evening. So by the time that happens, all these brushes will be 100% dry. I did notice, I don't know if you watched me do this at one point, but I went through and squeezed out a little bit of excess water in some of the other brushes that had, that just felt really damp. So just to make sure that it's ready for tomorrow. Some of the more dense brushes are going to have that problem when it comes to getting all the water out when it's, you know, fresh out from underneath the faucet. So the rest of them feel pretty good. Those are just the couple I was concerned about. So thank you for watching. I promise I'll be back with more fun makeup looks soon now that my brushes are all clean and ready to roll. And for that reason, you can either comment, like, subscribe, do nothing, follow me on Instagram, CaitlinJolene_makeup, and come back next week for another video. Bye-bye.